I am taking the Nuggets to be NBA champs at plus 700. The first thing here that actually surprised me, when we originally talked about doing this, it was plus 750, and now it's gone to plus 700. So what I'm seeing here is that the NBA and the betting odds and all that in Vegas are seeing that this team is starting to trend, and the Nuggets are actually the second favorite. The Thunder are like plus 225, and the next one is the Nuggets at plus 700. So Vegas is saying the Thunder are the heavy favorites, which you and I have discussed about. I don't think that they were that head and shoulders above the rest of the NBA this year. I get they had the regular season. I get they won the championship. But I'm going to be completely honest. That series with Denver and definitely against Indiana, where it's like I don't feel that OKC was hands down this perennial favorite. First piece, though, if we get into Denver, that team needed depth and they needed more defense. I think they've answered that this offseason. They've added Cam Johnson, which was the trade for Michael Porter Jr. And in a weird way, it's almost like you wouldn't say Cam is better than Michael Porter Jr. in like a one-on-one or a one-off, just observing both of them. But if you put them, you take in a weird way, you almost did upgrade though. It's so hard to explain, but it's like if you watch it, you're like Denver needed Cam more than they would need an MPJ. They added Valanciunas, and I get there's a situation of like, is he gonna go play in Europe? Is he gonna stay here? I'm basing this off the reports is that he's going to play in Denver next year. That is a huge lift and a huge piece added, I think, to get behind Jokic. They added Hardaway. I love bringing Bruce Brown back. And again, you've answered those defensive questions now with Cam Johnson because Michael Porter Jr. is not guarding anybody. His one purpose in life is to shoot shots on and off the court. That's all he does. Okay. You've added a person that will play defense that's going to contribute to winning basketball like Cam Johnson. You've got Valanciunas who can now back up Jokic as still having a defensive anchor in the back on the backside of it. And then Aaron Gordon, can he stay healthy? He had some soft hair issues last year. If he's able to get those right and you can go into the NBA playoffs with that squad, and truth be told, and we'll get into this when we get into our MVP picks, but Jokic is the MVP every single year. He is the best player in the NBA. It's just if the media decide they want to give one to Shea or they want to give one to Embiid, or hopefully this year they want to give one to Luka. It's just he is the best player in every single series. And for teams that can win championships, if you look at the last, I mean, 7 of them, it's been teams that can go big. It can teams that can play fast. They can slow it down. They can go big. They can go small. And truthfully, who has the best player on the court is going to win that out. Lastly, with the Thunder, that series, Denver was up going into the fourth quarter, up 2-1 at home in Denver. If they're able to close that game out against OKC and go up 3-1 in the series, I don't think OKC is coming back from that. And you're literally just a few minutes away from going up 3-1 to being tied 2 and then having a game 7 in Oklahoma City with Aaron Gordon playing with a torn hamstring. So it's like that the difference between those two teams is not that drastic. And I think you get Russ off the team, which is still not figured out, but I just think you get Russ off the team, you bring these pieces in. Like if you look at that and say we're losing Russ and MPJ and we're adding Cam Johnson, Valanciunas, Hardaway Jr., and Bruce Brown, you're doing that for that roster and trying to win an NBA championship. And so the last point with Denver, I know I'm kind of going on with them. Can they continue to get a potential star out of Christian Brown? He had flashes and glimpses in that OKC series of like, hey, this dude might be when Murray's out or whatever, he could be that guard that they go to. The problem was is he did have games. I think he had 2 single-digit games against the Thunder in that series. If he continues to develop, they've added this defensive presence. They've added this depth. I think getting off Mike Malone and bringing that new voice in, which I thought wasn't a good idea at the time, firing an NBA champion coach right before the playoffs. But clearly it did look like it sparked something with that team. And maybe now you give him some more continuity. The players are behind him. You've added these pieces. I'm here for it.
Yeah, so a couple points I definitely agree with. One, I don't. You're higher on Mike Malone than I am. I was not, needless to say, not a Mike Malone truther. But in all seriousness and in all fairness, I think David Adelman is beloved in that locker room. From all reports from the beat reporters, national reporting is that David Adelman was the go-to choice, which is why you make that move to begin with, right? Like, you don't fire Mike Malone unless you have somebody that you're confident in going forward. I think Mike Malone's going to be a really good coach for wherever he ends up. He's not currently hired anywhere, right? Yeah, not yet. So wherever he ends up, I know he's going to do a good job, but I thought he was getting a little bit stale, and I'm glad that David Adelman has the, full-fledged support from that locker room. You made that point about the depth. Champions and championships are won definitely with that solidified number one. LeBron, Giannis, Jason Tatum. Just going forward. But those champions are also made by the Derek Whites, the Alex Carusos, the Kyle Kuzmas in the bubble, and the Rajon Rondos. But losing and bringing back Bruce Brown is going to be a fantastic piece. I thought they regressed when they got rid of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I understand KCP might not be a household name or a go-to, like, this is what it takes to win a championship, but it's those depth pieces around Nikola Jokic. That's why they fell short, in my opinion, in Game 7 against Oklahoma City. That's why they fell short a couple years back in 22 against the Golden State Warriors. Like, Jokic looked gassed towards the end of that series. And I think when when you have a full offseason and you have a longer offseason than going to the championship, I think that's going to work out in their favor. And I had an Oklahoma City fan who's a dear friend of mine, and he was stressing the entire series. Like, they had Oklahoma City on the ropes at a couple different points in that series. And I could not agree more. I think I'm, especially as a Celtics fan, but even as an NBA fan, no matter who I was a fan of, I have to sleep with one eye open with the best player in the world and Nikola Jokic. And so now that he has that improved depth around him, I think it's going to be big things for the Denver Nuggets next season.
Yeah, and I see a lot, honestly, I think part of the issue with Malone was that is a team whose superstars, which is Murray and Jokic, are not the personalities of Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic and Embiid, even, and like those guys. Like, there's a huge similarity between, personality wise, not in game at all, but a huge similarity between the Celtics with Tatum and Brown and the Nuggets with Murray and Jokic. There's not this huge bravado. It's just like, we compete, we play hard, we do it right, and we are perennial championship contenders because of these things. We're not the loudest barkers, and that's where I think Malone kind of had to step into that light, because it was like, somebody's got to be talking trash. Somebody's got to be having their chest out. And I think, honestly, it got him in trouble. I think that's a big piece of probably why the players were just like, this is not what we want. Where you look at Boston and Mazzulla, who's a basketball sicko, but he still is going to have that. Like, he's way more relatable from the player standpoint than what Mike Malone is going to be for any of them. Right. So I think Malone kind of did to himself. He is a good coach, and props to him. He won a championship, and that doesn't mean anything in the NBA. You can win rings unless you're Doc Rivers and you carry that 2008 championship for 20 years and continue to maintain a job, which is just beyond me. But it's okay. We're not going to rage bait Jacob with the Celtics right now. I might save it for another podcast. But
I appreciate that. And the only other point that I wanted to make was, I agree with you that the Cam Johnson might not have to match, or might not be able to match, the Michael Porter Jr. points per game, but I don't think he needs to. It's just the efficiency and what he's going to bring to the offense that's going to open up a couple different options, and I agree with you wholeheartedly.